The story begins with a truck full of supplies arriving at the orphanage, and our protagonist delivers the aid, earning merit points for his good deed. At that moment, the orphanage director approaches him, expressing her deep gratitude. She tells him that without his help, the orphanage would have closed down. He humbly responds, "I always enjoy doing good, and there's no need to thank me." With these words, he gains an additional 100 merit points. Meanwhile, we learn that Yun, a character in the story, has accumulated over 50,000 points. As our protagonist leaves the orphanage, we discover more about his life. He has no home, no car, and his parents are deceased. Later, he arrives at his uncle's house, who, upon opening the door, immediately asks if he has done another good deed. The protagonist replies, "Of course I did, as you know. It was my parents' last wish." However, in truth, he also does these deeds because of the system he possesses. When he heads to his room, he reveals that 2 years ago, his parents mysteriously disappeared without a trace, leaving him with only a system and a single message. At this moment, something strange happens in the city. A red moon appears, and a mysterious voice warns of an impending disaster that only those who do good deeds will survive. The protagonist sits by the window, observing the scene, recalling how he has spent the past 2 years doing good deeds and accumulating many points. Yet, the problem is that he still doesn't know the purpose of these points. At this moment, Yun places a glass of water on the table, but suddenly, he notices a red drop forming in the glass, turning the water into what appears to be blood. Shocked, he looks outside and sees that everything is bathed in red light, and he feels an ominous aura. Suddenly, the system appears before him, congratulating him on qualifying for the game of sin and informing him that his first participation will be in exactly 24 hours. Confused, Yun reaches out to touch the system's message on the ground, and as soon as he touches it, he feels his hands sink into what feels like blood, terrifying him even more. He begins to wonder what might happen next. Then, a golden light appears, and Yun looks around to find that it's the merit system screen. The screen displays a message informing Yun that the system has now merged with the game of sin. He still doesn't fully understand what's going on, and feels like he's losing his mind from everything happening around him. He tries to calm himself and decides to withdraw from the game he's been forced into. But unfortunately, the system ignores his request and tells him that it will create an email for him in the game. The email is created, and the countdown begins. Yun realizes that he is now compelled to participate in the game. In an attempt to understand more, he pulls out his phone and searches for any information about the game of sin. He finds a message explaining that if someone receives an invitation to the game, they should immediately visit the website, and if they hear about it from someone else, they should contact the game organizers right away. This gives Yun a bit more clarity about the situation he's in. Yun realizes that the game of sin has existed for some time, since it has an official website. As he explores the site, he discovers that the game is very real, involving monsters and illogical phenomena beyond the realm of science. He also finds warnings advising him to prioritize his safety and complete all the tasks assigned to him. Success in these tasks brings valuable rewards and treasures, but failure leads to severe consequences. The last note he reads clarifies that the game does not interfere with his real life. Reflecting on this, Yun understands that while the game is dangerous, it is also full of opportunities. He remembers that he has more points than any other beginner and decides to survive until the next day to see what happens. Yun recalls that he has stocked up on food, water, and fine clothing in recent days. As he prepares by putting on his best suit, he suddenly notices that items in his apartment start to disappear. Shocked, he realizes that his own body is also beginning to vanish. A message appears, informing him that the game will start in 15 minutes, and that he will be transported to the preparation area. Yun is then sucked into a vortex, and when he reappears, he finds himself sitting at a table in a completely different place. He looks around and sees several other people present. Suddenly, an old man collapses, and Yun rushes to check on him and help. At that moment, Someone else taps the table, drawing everyone's attention. The person asks if they are all beginners and if anyone has participated in the game before. The nervous girl sitting next to Yun responds to the man, asking if this means it isn't his first time here, and whether the rumors about the game circulating online are true. The man confirms that everything is true and explains that they will participate in the game once every week. The group is shocked and distressed by this revelation. The man then angrily taps the table again, warning them that they will be playing a life and death game every week until they eventually die. Yoon stays calm, suspecting that the man is speaking this way to show off his experience in the game. To gain more information, Yoon decides to flatter him, clapping and saying, "This game must be nothing for someone as strong as you. I hope you can teach me from your experience." The man, pleased by Yun's words, admits that he has only a bit of experience and advises Yoon to stay out of other people's business and mind his own, as personal survival is the most important thing. The man then offers to share some information with Yoon. The man begins by warning Yoon, "First, don't be surprised by anything you see here. You'll encounter ghosts, spirits, and demons regularly in this place. And second, and most importantly, try your best not to break the game's rules, because that might speed up your death." Yoon listens carefully, recalling that the websites had mentioned that the rules here are ever-changing, leaving him more confused. At that moment, a girl among the group speaks up to get everyone's attention. She tells them that she just received a message to open the shop and asks if anyone knows anything about it. The entire group is startled when they receive the same message simultaneously. The experienced man tries to calm them down, explaining that they can buy items from the shop, but payment is made using points, which they can only earn by playing and winning. The girl looks surprised, while another person becomes frustrated, exclaiming, "It seems like this game is messing with us, showing us the shop when we can't even buy anything yet." Then, the old man in the group raises his hand and asks the experienced man if they can exchange money for points. The expert replies, "You have a wild imagination if you think you can trade money for points. You can only earn points by exchanging them for artifacts infused with spiritual energy." During this time, Yun listens to everything happening around him, but he's secretly thrilled because of the massive amount of points he has. His joy increases when the system informs him that he can use his merit points, with each merit point converting into 10 achievement points. Yun quickly calculates his current merit points and multiplies them by 10, realizing that he has a total of 100 million achievement points. Finally, he sees the value in the merit points he's been collecting over the past 2 years. Excited, Yun accesses the shop and starts browsing through the items and their prices. From the prices, he quickly deduces that he only needs to convert a few thousand of his merit points to buy everything in the shop. Without hesitation, he converts 10,000 merit points, gaining 100,000 achievement points in return. He then goes on a shopping spree, purchasing every available item in the shop. Suddenly, the atmosphere around them changes. A ghostly presence and eerie music fill the air. The people around Yun begin to panic as a girl nervously mentions hearing the music. The experienced man shouts loudly, trying to calm everyone down as chaos starts to erupt. He explains that the game is about to begin. The haunting music continues to play, revealing that it's part of a ghostly wedding, with the bride sitting alone. At this moment, their first task is revealed. They must survive until the ghostly wedding ceremony is over. Everyone is bewildered by the mission. Suddenly, more tables appear, and the entire area transforms into a wedding hall. The girl next to Yoon glances at the strange-looking guests seated at the tables, noticing they resemble zombies. She turns to the experienced man and asks him about them. The expert warns her, "It's better not to ask too many questions. The more curious you are, the faster you'll die." That moment, an old man from the ghostly wedding guests approaches their table and asks why they aren't eating. Yoon looks up, terrified by the aura surrounding the old man. He quickly guesses that this man is not among the living. Meanwhile, the girl with glasses nervously asks the experienced man again, "What are we supposed to do now?" The expert, clearly anxious himself, tells everyone to just ignore the old man and stay seated. However, the old man grows angry and shouts at them. "You're being disrespectful. How can you refuse to eat on such a joyous day?" His voice becomes more menacing as he demands that someone offer them a drink. The guests surrounding Yun's group begin to approach their table, offering them food and drink. Yun starts to think, noticing that all of the ghostly figures have pale, emaciated faces despite the abundance of food. He realizes that there must be something wrong with the food, and it's likely dangerous. Suddenly, two ghostly girls approach Yun, one offering him a drink while the other holds out a plate of food. Yun clenches his jaw, refusing to open his mouth or accept anything from them. The same happens to the others at the table, as each of them is offered food and drink by the eerie guests. Eventually, the pressure becomes too much for one of the old men among Yun's group. Out of sheer fear, he accepts a drink from the ghostly children beside him and takes a sip. The old man takes the cup, and after finishing it, he says, "There, I drank it. Now leave me alone." But suddenly, his expression changes, and he collapses to the ground, foaming at the mouth. The ghosts around him begin to laugh mockingly, saying, "Look at this one, drunk from just one sip." The girl near Yun approaches the old man to check on him. After a moment, she concludes that he's been poisoned. Yun watches, realizing just how dangerous this game truly is. At that moment, his system appears, notifying him of a new mission. If you save any of your companions, you will earn merit points. Yun understands the mission and glances around at his terrified companions. He quickly realizes that he might be the only one with the merit system. The girl with glasses, overwhelmed by the situation, starts crying and begs the experienced man to save the old man. The expert angrily shoves her and says, "The old man didn't listen and drank, and if I try to save him, we could all be in danger." At that point, Yun steps forward confidently and says, "Don't worry, I'll save him." He pulls out an anti-poison pill that he had bought earlier, a remedy for cases just like this. Smiling, Yun thinks to himself, "Good thing I purchased these items from the store after all." He administers the pill to the old man, feeling a sense of satisfaction as he realizes that he can finally make good use of the items he bought and begins to see the practical value of his merit points in this deadly game.